all the problems which you are facing in Latvia, in France, in Germany, are coming from the European Union. This is the bad, evil machine far away from us, and artificial projects of the elites, etc. And we know your concerns about your jobs, about your education, about your healthcare, about refugees and migration, and there is a salvation. And this salvation is to quit the EU, to close our borders, to create fences, walls, to separate, to isolate, and then we'll save you. By the way, this alternative is using very strong, very powerful social populism and social language. It says, I do care about you. Le Pen is saying, the French worker. Now I'll protect you from the immigrants in the UK, UKIP, and also the Conservatives say, the big problem are the immigrants from Latvia, Bulgaria, Poland, the Polish plumber, etc. And this creates really emotion. And people in this institute say, yes, maybe this is the anchor which can create me, my family, and my country also difference. The problem with this alternative, although it looks quite attractive to many people in the short run, is the following. It needs an enemy. It needs plays with fear as an emotion and political instrument. When you have an enemy and a fear, then you have also anger and hostility towards the different, the other. Be it the refugee, be it the immigrant from Central and Eastern Europe, be it your neighbor, your neighboring country. But we have seen it. We have seen it in Europe in the 20th century. Actually, not only in the 20th century. In all the history of Europe, it's a, great history, it's only from one war to another. And the European Union as an idea and as development is a unique experiment, if you wish, to help us, the people of Europe, different nations, to live in peace and in cooperation. This has never happened before in that way. And this is an asset which we shouldn't lose, because the alternative which is provided is that in the best case scenario, we shall look at each other through fences with hostility and rivalry. In the worst case, we've seen it in the First and the Second World War. I'm not saying that that will be repeated the same way, but the trend and the philosophy is the same, the basis for this policy. Here we come to the third alternative which exists, and these are the social democrats in Europe and in every nation. Because, and this is our responsibility, because from the very beginning of this crisis, we were the ones who were clearly saying this prescription of austerity only is the wrong one. We need strong investment policy, we need social protection, and we need to change Europe so people could feel that their life mattered to the institutions. And in 2014, in the elections, we didn't manage to win them, unfortunately. But unlike the EPP, we kept our level of force. And this changed the atmosphere, I would say, in the Commission and also in the European Parliament. And gradually, the trend is moving towards more investment with the Juncker plan, with other activities, more flexibility on the Stability and Growth Pact, which is one of the tools really enforcing the nations towards austerity. And also what we say, we need to democratize the European Union to make it closer to the people. But I must say that we haven't done enough. Because apparently Europe needs a bigger change, more radical and bigger change. This is why we started in our political family, especially after Brexit, very serious and open debate with our prime ministers. We have 9 heads of state and government in the European Council, with our group, with our member parties, in order to elaborate a much clearer perspective about a different Europe, a Europe which protects, a Europe which performs internationally, and economically, and Europe which creates really optimism about the future. Because in politics, there are several basic emotions which create public movements. It could be fear, it could be anger, discontent, and it could be hope. What we are trying to do is to create hope about a better future for Europe through very clear vision about what changes are needed in the European Union to survive. I should probably stop here because just wanted to give a very short and brief picture, because for me what would be the most interesting part, hopefully, this conversation would be your questions. I hope that they will provoke me, and I hope I will try through my answers to provoke further questions. Because after all, this is what we all need, a conversation about our concerns, and there are so many issues which I believe are concerned from you today. Of course, I was asked in a TV show in the morning about refugees, and I asked, okay, would you tell me please, how many refugees do we have in Latvia? So we are so much concerned about it. And I heard a figure about 23 or maybe 100 people. Well, it's a big threat for Latvia, for your way of life, for whatever. But it's a reality. We are facing as a union a serious challenge. 1.5 million people knocking at our doors last year. Not that we cannot handle it, but people are saying, okay, if we close 100 million this year, 2 million next year, 3 million, and how do we control it? How do we manage? How do we integrate? So this is a serious question. Of course, there is a big question about Brexit. And just in a few days, the Prime Ministers will meet in Bratislava. We as a political family will meet there with our Prime Ministers to discuss what kind of direction and policy we should have, in which areas we need more Europe, and what kind of Europe, which is an even more important question. Of course, there are many other issues which are related to the situation in your country. I'm not an expert on this, but of course, I have prepared myself to a certain extent, especially having as a partner the Sastana party, which is led by the Mayor of Riga. I would like to thank Mr. Yushakovs for his invitation to me and to our delegation, to the Secretary General of PS, Giacomo Filipek, who is here, part of our delegation, to our specialist on Central and Eastern Europe, Konrad Gołota from Poland. So we are here, of course, to interact with our political partners. Whatever questions or interesting things you would like to get from me, you're more than welcome. I'll try to be as open as possible. Thank you very much for your patience.
Okay, well,